Good afternoon, good morning once again. So today we're going to continue our discussion on data frames. Let's take a look at example number 3, where we're going to create a data frame. So we're creating these 3 objects, ID, group, and response. These are vectors. ID is a numerical vector. It's just a sequence from 1 to 200. And then for group, we have a repetition. So we're combining a repetition of the character vehicle for 100 times and drag for 100 times. So all in all, this object group has 200 observations, which is okay because ID also has 200. So remember, for a data frame, they should have the same number of rows. And then response, this is a numeric vector, R norm, 100 observations, R norm again, 100 observations, making them 200. The difference is that this is a mean of 25, standard deviation of 5. This is a mean of 23 and the standard deviation of 5. Okay, so that we have the same number, we use a set.seed, and let's just use an arbitrary number, 987. Okay, and then what we do is we create this data, my data. We create this object, my data, and we use this function data.frame, which combines all these objects, the ID, the group, and the response into one data frame. Now, the column name of ID will become patient. Okay, the column name of treatment will become group. Of course, it would have been okay if we just named this patient. We had initially named this patient, no problem. Or this one, treatment, no problem. If we did that, there would have been no need for patient is equal to ID. We could have just used patient, comma, treatment, comma, response. But we made this so that you can see also how to change the names of the columns from the original object name. Right? And then we view this so that we can have it printed here. Okay, so let's run this. It will now print here. Okay, I have your confirmation. If you have 200 entries and you have our value should be the same. The first 100 should be vehicle. Okay, let's check. First 100 is vehicle, there, 1 up to 100. And then from 101 up to 200, it will be drag. And then also, we have here the responses. Okay, we should all have the same values, 24.71, 26.34, etc. Okay, so excuse me one moment, class. Okay, could I have your confirmation, please, if we have the same values? Same ba yung values ng data natin? My data? Okay, it should be the same. It will be different if you gave a different set.seed number or you didn't put the set.seed. Okay, so let's continue. So nag-print siya, no, kasi we place this in parentheses. Automatically nag-print siya dito. Okay, so this one, let's just remove this because we all use the set.seed. Okay, had my data, this will just print the first first 6 observations, or you can identify a number. It will print the whatever number you place here. Let's use 10, and then let's use 10 here. So if we print both of this, head and tail, it will give us the first 10 and the last 10. Okay, so for this one, this will be the first 10, 1 to 10. And I expect, as I mentioned a while ago, we should have the same numbers. We should have the same random numbers. And this one, the last 10. Okay, the last value here, the response should be 18.16. Okay. And so we know that if we can get also the length of a vector will give us the number of variables, the number of columns. The dimension will give us the number of rows and columns. So here, oops, sorry, I forgot to put my data here. Length of my data and dimension of my data. So it's 3 variables, and then the dimension is 200 by 2. The structure will tell us what type of data this is, what type of object my data is. And if you recall, class, yung my data will be under the data classification here, while the vectors that we created, yung group ID at response, will be under values. Okay? So structure of my data will give us, okay, it will tell us anong klaseng object siya. So it's a data frame. It's not a list. Well, it's a type of a list, but it's a special type of list. Kasi, okay, let me just show that. If we check the class of my data, and then the type of the class, let me just discuss this. It's a structure. So you have my data, and under it are the 3 variables: patient, treatment, response. Patient is integer, treatment is character, and response is numeric. If we get the class of my data and its type, okay, it's a data.frame, but the type of it's a list. Okay, so technically it's also a list, but a special type of list. It's called data frame. Okay, and we know that there's a difference between, technically there's a difference between a data frame and a list. And if you get the summary, okay, depending on the variable, for a numeric variable, it will give us the 6-number summary, the minimum, the maximum, first quartile, second quartile, which is the median, and the third quartile, and also the average, the mean. Okay. In this case, the patient, even if it's quote-unquote numeric, this does not have any meaning because the patient is only an index, or it's only the patient number, okay, and the values you do not have any meaning. Unlike the response, where you get the minimum, the maximum, the first, second, third quartile, and even the mean. You can see here that the median and the mean are quite close. They're quite near to each other, which it's indicative that it's quite close to a normal distribution. Kasi di ba, a normal distribution, isang characteristic niya, yung mean at saka median, either they coincide or they're very close to each other. Okay. So, of course, pag character, it will not give us any number summary, but just the count, kung ilan siya. Okay. Okay, there's another function, maybe let's see. Control-Alt-I. And then we can check for the table, my data, and then dollar treatment. Okay. So ito, the table function will give us the count of a character variable. So ang sinasabi niya dito, tabulate natin kung ilan yung elements, ilan yung levels ng treatment. So we have here drug 100, vehicle 100. So na-confirm lang na 100 yung drug at saka 100 yung vehicle. All right. Then what we can do with data frames is that we can subset. So how do you subset? To subset means to just get a portion of your data frame. So for example, let's create this object S na lang, S1, okay? And it's my data, and then you have your brackets 1 and 2. This means that if you take a look at my data here, 1, 2 means you get the first row and the second column. First row, second column, and the answer is vehicle. Okay? So sinubset lang natin to. If we have this, sama na natin, i-print natin si S1, S2, and then kunin natin yung class. Anong class itong S1 na to? Okay? So if we run this, we will have the answer here, no? So the answer is vehicle as expected, and then the class is character. Character siya kasi vehicle lang naman yan. Diba? And if we take a look at where that object is classified, it should fall under this one, value siya. Okay, so we can see here a subset of a data frame. Kasi isa lang naman siya, hindi naman siya rows and columns. Okay, let's have another one. Okay, where am I? Close ko muna to. Okay, pause muna ako, class. Could you please chat if you're able to follow? Any questions so far? Nakuha niyo ba yung table function? This one is helpful, especially kung maraming elements in yung table function. Okay, good. All right, so ito, 2 and 3, ganun din, no? Second row, third column. So my data, second row. So this is the second row and the third column. Okay, so the value is 26.35. And if we also again check, let's create this object S2, alt minus, and then let's close this, and then class S2. Okay, so let's check this. So S2 is 26.3449, and S2 is a numeric vector. Numeric vector siya. Okay. Now what happens if you have this time a subset where hindi lang single element, no? Just like this. So ito, ibig sabihin ito, rows 1 to 20 and then columns 2 to 3. Remember na sa isang subsetting, the first number here refer to the rows and the second number here refers to the columns. So let's create another object, subset, S na lang. My data, okay, let's subset this, and then class S3. So ito, kasi rows 1 to 20, no? Tapos columns 2 and 3. If we run this, control enter, and then we have here to take a look at the result. Ayan. So that's 1 up to 20 lang. Ayan, no? 20 rows, and then only the treatment and the response. Hindi kasama yung column number 1, which is patient. And it's a data frame. So si S3 will fall under dito sa data natin. Yan, S3. So the subset of a data frame can be a vector. Isa lang siya, or it can be a data frame itself. So depende kung ano yung pinapa-subset natin. Okay, and then another example here. I hope you're able to follow. Okay, so ito, yung my data na to, 1 up to 20, and then if you write nothing here, it means that you include all the columns. So writing nothing means including all the columns. So for example, if I don't put anything here, there, and then I don't put anything here, then that means, tingnan natin to it means yung buo. Ang assumption yan, it's the whole. So let's see, S4, oops, alt minus, S4. Okay. All right, let's run this. Okay, what do you have? Take a look at this. S4 is 200 observations of 3 variables. So it's the whole my data. Yung buong my data. Okay, naano ko na naman siya. Alt. Dali. Yan. Oops. Dali. Yung shortcut nito. Alt O. Alt O ba? Alt O. Forgot. Pag na-minimize yung ano, no? Yung mga codes, yung mga code chunk na-minimize ko siya. Yan. So if you see this class, ibig sabihin nun, shortcut yan para i-minimize yung yung lahat ng code chunks. No? So there's a shortcut for that, and there's a shortcut to could you kindly check, class, please? Shortcut to minimize all code chunks in R. Okay, can somebody please? If I recall, it's Alt O yata, no? Kasi mamali ako para lang mabalik. Anyone please? I pressed something a while ago, siguro Alt O yata. So na-minimize lahat ng mga yung mga code chunks na wala. So if you want to minimize all code chunks, lahat ng code chunks, pwedeng gawin yun. So if you take a look at this now, wala na mga code chunks. Andyan pa siya, kaso naka-minimize siya. So somebody please. Did anybody get this? Hello, class? Wala nakakita? Not to delete. Ano yan? Ito to. Code folding yan. Code folding. So this is the shortcut. No? Para i-fold. folding. Collapse all, yun, Alt O. And then expand all, Shift Alt O. Okay. So na-press ko kanina yung Alt O, kaya nag-collapse siya. Yan. And then, okay, Shift Alt O, yan, nawala siya. Okay, so just be familiar with that. Kasi sometimes accidentally napipress natin yung control Alt and then capital O. Yan, nagko-collapse yung mga codes natin. So lahat ng mga codes parang nakatago siya, it's hidden, which compresses your source window. So pag gusto natin ibalik, Shift Alt O. There. All right. So this is just an additional lesson for us. So going back to our discussion a while ago, there's a subsetting. Okay. Now here we're told that these three are similar subsets. So the first one is my data. Empty yung rows, ibig sabihin lahat ng rows, and then just the third column. Or it can be all the rows and then just identify the response, the name of the variable, the name of the third column, which is response. And then lastly, you get the name of the object and then $response. Okay, so these are, you get similar results here. Okay, and we won't anymore illustrate that. I leave it to you as an exercise. Try to compare, maybe create an object S5, S6, and S7. Okay, all right, so let's go here now. I'm creating now an object called A1, and this is now, again, we're subsetting for the row. Okay, for the row, we want the response to be greater than 26. Okay, response, say my data, $response, so they were referring to the third column, and it should only be those that are greater than 26. And for all the columns, the same, everything should be included. So let's generate this object, A1, and you know that this will be a data frame also, A1, and it has 75 observations of 3 variables. Okay, so if we click this one, A1 here, as a data frame. Okay, answer pala si Naoki and Julian, thank you so much. Yeah, you're correct. Alt O at saka Shift Alt O. Okay, so if you take a look at the response variable, you will find here that, okay, so walang dito, walang lower than 26. Let's check minimum. Okay, our object is A1 and then $response. Okay, so what's the minimum in A1? We're not referring to my data, yung A1 ang subset ang ginawa natin. What's the minimum of response? 26.05. You're correct, no? Kasi we subsetted, we created an object that whose response is minimum is 26. Okay. All right. So how about this one? Okay. This one, on the other hand, contain this. No? So may ampersand tayo dito. Meron tayong end function. Okay. So what does this mean? If we see this end, it means that there are two conditions here. Both conditions have to be met. Dapat pareho sila mamimit. Okay, what do you mean by this? So, and take note, andito yung brackets. So expect that there should be two values. No? The first value refer to the row, and the second value refer to the column. So in this case, the column is blank, which means we have to include all the columns. Ang medyo mababago yung row. No? Hindi lahat ng row ang masasama. Well, depende dun sa condition natin. So what does this tell us? Dapat daw, take a look at the treatment variable, and dapat vehicle lang. Tapos also take a look at response variable. Dapat less than 23 siya, less than or equal to 23. So I expect that yung treatment, lahat yan vehicles. Okay? Tapos yung response, dapat less than 23 siya. So I don't expect to see an object there whose treatment is drug, and then I don't expect na may response doon na greater than 23. So that's what we expect here. So let's take a look at this one. Run natin si A2, and then we can see here A2. It has 33 observations. Close ko muna itong A1 para hindi masyadong marami. A2, let me run this. Yan. Okay, there. If you check the treatment variable, lahat yan vehicle. If you check response variable, lahat yan less than 23. So let's check. Ano ba yung maximum? Maximum ni A2, dollar si response. There. Ano maximum niya? So dapat hindi lalampas ng 23. And we're correct, it's 22.94. So we were able to subset, okay, subset the object my data. Okay, how about this? So on the other hand, this one is OR. Itong vertical, kung slash na to, this is OR. So what does this tell us? So ganun din, meron tayong restriction sa row, tapos wala sa column, which means all the columns will be included. Sa rows naman, dapat daw vehicle or dapat yung response niya greater than 21. So what does this mean? Okay, let's take a look at dapat vehicle. No? Dapat vehicle. So kahit na ma-violate to, so even if the response is, let's say, 18, okay, na-violate to, no? Pero for as long as vehicle, kasama yan. Okay? Kasama siya. So it doesn't matter if this is, what's the term for that? If this is, let's say, satisfied or not. It doesn't matter. Basta vehicle siya. So lahat ng vehicle kasama. Okay, ano pa? Ito naman. Greater than or equal to 21. Okay, for as long as greater than 21, it doesn't matter kung hindi ma-satisfy ko. Whether it's vehicle, whether it's drug, walang pakialam to. For as long as greater than 21 siya. Okay? So you'll have here cases where drug yung treatment, kasama pa rin siya kahit na less than 20, kahit na basta greater than 21 siya. On the other hand, dito, you have cases where vehicle kasama kahit na less than 21 siya. Kasi na-satisfy itong vehicle. Okay, so let's give it a name, A3. Let's run this. Okay, and then what do we have here? Si A3, ayan, 172 observations, run up, let's check. Tingnan natin kung may mga vehicles, no? And then, meron bang drug sa ilalim? Yes, may drug sa ilalim. Eh, sinama niya. Pero di ba dapat vehicle? Or lang yun, or. So, kung hindi man masatisfy si treatment, dapat masatisfy si response. Okay? So, si response ba na-satisfy? Anong sabi natin? Si response dapat greater than 21. So, lahat ba itong nasa response na to? na may drag greater than 21, you can check. Tignan natin lahat ng drag. Okay, starting with this one. Yan. From this one, 101 below, lahat yan greater than 21. Okay? So that's what this means, no? Itong slash na to. This is OR. Ganun din dito. Okay, so yung A4 naman dito, what's the meaning of this? Okay, this means not equal to. So dapat hindi kasama si vehicle, or another way to say this is equal to drag. So same thing. So basta drag, kahit na less than 24 pwede. Okay, dito naman, so dito, basta greater than 24. Kahit na hindi siya drag. Kasi dito ang ibig sabihin nito, dapat drag siya. Okay? So basta greater than 24, kahit na drag, no problem. O kahit na hindi drag, no problem. Okay, so if we run this, A4, close ko lang to A3 na to. So here. Alright, so I have a case where pwedeng vehicle or pwedeng drag. Yun din yung condition, no? As discussed a while ago. I leave you, class, to take a look and validate if okay to. Alright. Okay, so here we can add. This is how to add this. Add a column to a data frame. So dito, can we add a column to a data frame? Yes. So we're creating an object here called age. And then yung age na to, we're using the R norm function. Okay, 200 observations with mean 40 and standard deviation is equal to 20. Okay, so we're creating this vector age. Tapos we're creating this, yung my data na to. Okay. Here, my data, sorry. All right. What's happening here now? Sinasabi natin dito, my data, $age. So di ba wala namang age sa my data, di ba? But we're now creating this. Sinasabi natin na maglagay ng isang column sa my data, ang pangalan ng age. Ang laman niya, yung age object na to, na create natin. Okay, and then check natin yung head ni my data. So let's run this. Ipareho natin yung set.sheet natin. Okay, run. Okay, and what now happened? First 6 observations, no? Ng age natin. And if we check yung age object, ito, i-print natin sa age. Let me print age. Ito na yun. Ayan, na-print na pala si age. Alright. Ang problema sa age class, kasi R norm to no? So there's a possibility na pwede magka-random numbers. Ayan. Negative random numbers. Okay, so which is not good kasi age yan. So if you're using age as a variable and then you're just randomizing it, don't use R norm kasi pag R norm pwede magkaroon ng negative, no? So what do you think should we use? Kasi may mga negative tayo, yan. And I'm sure you also have them kasi pareho yung natin set.sheet. Okay, may mga negative values. Okay, ganun kasi pag R norm, no? Talagang magkaka-negative yan pag normally distributed. No? So instead of using yung R norm, any suggestion, class? Ano mas magandang gamitin natin? Let me copy this. Anyone? Class? Oh, by the way, yung round dito, no? Yung round dito, ang default niyan, if we don't put any value dun sa ano, it's just the same as 0. Kasi ibig sabihin, no decimal place. If you don't put anything there, it means that 0 yon, 0 decimal place. Okay, kasi pag naglagay ako ng 1 dito, tingnan nyo yung mga ages natin, di ba may 1 na. Okay, if I put 0 here, wala nang decimal place. Okay, or I ignore that 0, pareho lang yan. Walang decimal place. Okay, but as we said, pag age yung variable natin, tapos mag-randomize lang tayo, then hindi maganda yung R norm. So what's a better way to do this, class? Any suggestion? Dito, using what? Anong maganda? Any suggestion? Na-discuss natin dati yun. It's not R norm, but rather, anyone? Class? What other function na sample, okay? Pwede rin, kaso there's another one. Okay, anong function yung sample? If you recall, ano ba binibigay sa atin yung sample? Nako, sorry, nag-internal server error naman ako. I'm having problems with my R recently. Pag ganyan na, hindi na ako makakahanap, hindi na ako makakapag-help. Okay, and I'm trying to find out how to resolve this. Hindi ko pa makita eh. Pag, from my experience, pag nag-internal server error na ako, wala na. Hindi na ako kahit anong gawin kong kunyari. Okay. So, kayo na lang, class, can you please chat ano yung syntax ng sample? And what is sample for? Can somebody do that, please? Paki-chat yung syntax ng sample. And ano ginagawa niya? What does it generate? Share please, chat. Sorry, hindi ko makuha kasi hindi ako makapag-help function. Kasi nag-internal error na naman siya. Okay, see? Sample takes a sample of the specified size from the elements of X using either with or without replacement. So, ano yung syntax nito? Mackenzie, could you kindly share the syntax? Kasi sa sample class, kailangan may object tayo, no? May object tayo, tapos doon kukuha si R ng samples. Okay? So we will have to define first yung object. Kunyari, magde-define ka ng isang vector na 1 to 100. Tapos si R, kukuha ng sample, parang magdodraw siya doon. Imagine an urn. Okay, imagine an urn where you have, let's say, mga ping pong balls. No? Tapos yung mga ping pong balls na yan, may mga number. Ito yung, thank you, Mackenzie. So, dapat i-identify muna natin si X. No? Okay? So, kunyari, yung X natin, i-identify natin yan na 1 to 100. Okay, tapos from there, magdo-draw out si R. Yung size sasabihin natin. Anong size? So kumuha siya ng 40 doon, 40. So magdo-draw out siya ng mga ping pong balls na may numbers yon. And then, ang tanong dyan, replace is equal to false. Ibig sabihin replace is equal to false. Pag kinuha niya, yung ping pong ball na yun na may number, hindi na niya pwede ibalik. Or replace is equal to true, pwede niya ibalik yun. So may gamit to, no? When we're doing later on sa regression, okay? Gagamitin natin tong sample. But for this case, hindi siya yung I think there's a better way to do it. Okay, but thank you Mackenzie for that. Suggesting that. Pwede rin siya, no? Kaso i-identify muna natin X object natin. But what I'm telling you is what we have used before, di ba? Yung uniform, yung run if natin, uniform distribution. So mag-generate tayo ng 200 and then you remember the syntax is minimum natin. Sabihin natin ang minimum value, kunyari mga empleyado to. So ang minimum natin kunyari 18 and the maximum is if these are employees at maximum of 60. Okay? All right? And then let's just put here the complete one. Round natin si 0. Ibig sabihin 0 decimal place yung i-generate natin. Let's call this age 1 kasi may age na tayo kanina. Okay? And let's use another random number na lang. 333 para pare-pareho din tayo. So if we run this class, ito, control enter. All right. Then we have now uniform distribution, di ba? Ayan, no? If you remember, di ba yung hist natin ng age 1, although hindi siya masyadong kasi 200 observations lang yan. Right? So, di ba? So, it's not really a perfect, no? Uniform distribution. Okay. So dito, again, we're using this, my data age with age 1. Papalitan natin yung existing na age variable. Kasi di ba yung age natin may mga negative numbers. So ito pinalitan natin na lahat to positive na. Kasi ang minimum natin 18, ang maximum 60. There. Alright? And then head ng my data, yan na. So wala na tayong negative numbers yan. So ito na yung mga ages nila. Yung na-generate natin na age 1. Okay, so I think I described a lot, no? Explained a lot. So let me pause for a while and allow you to catch up. And kindly chat, please, if you were able to get it. So this is using the run if function. Uniform. Kindly chat, please, if you're able to follow. Feel free to ask questions, yes. Okay. How about the others? Let's give them a few more seconds. 10 pa lang yung nag-respond. Hindi man lang tayo naka one half, no? So let's give a few more seconds to the others. Okay, thank you. No questions so far. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so that ends our discussion on data frames. Of course, throughout the course, we're going to have several examples of data frames. Now, as last, we just go back to the concept of dates. We already studied this in part. Now, again, I'm sorry, I can't access the Lubridate. Okay, so packages. I think before we already installed Lubridate. Okay, I started having problems with my R when I uploaded when I updated the version of R Studio. Hindi ko lang alam kung is it because of the newest version? Kasi minsan pag newest version, minsan beta version siya, minsan hindi siya stable eh. Okay, Lubridate is a very important package in R. Okay, if I click this, so nag-library siya, no? And then if I click this, it's the same as help. Ayan, good. Kaso, all right. Here, so this is the Lubridate package. Tingnan natin description file. Okay, so this is a description niya. Functions to work with date times and time spans. Fast and user-friendly parsing of date time. Extraction and updating of components of the date time, years, months, etc. The Lubridate package is a consistent and memorable syntax that makes working with dates easy and fun. Okay, so recall, class, that one way to install Lubridate is installing, if you recall, no, yung tidyverse. So pag nag-library tidyverse ako, library tidyverse, okay, library tidyverse, this will also include, sorry, spreading ko. Tidyverse, this will also include. So pag linode ko si tidyverse, kasama din dyan si Lubridate. Okay, so you can see here that ano yung mga, this is a family of tidyverse packages, dplyr, forecast, ggplot2, per, readr, string. Okay, asan na si Lubridate, asan na? Okay, kasama si Lubridate dito. Okay, but it's included no sa tidyverse package. Okay, did you check, class? Does it include Lubridate? Did you check, class? Anyone? Okay, anyway, so kasama yon si Lubridate, no? And if you are going to study Lubridate, so balik tayo dito sa help natin. Okay, help. Let me go back. Ito yung mga functionalities ni Lubridate, no? Unfortunately, class, nagkaka-problema ako. So when I try to access, nagkaka-internal error ako. So for example, yung YMD function, ito, YDM, ito. YMD function parses dates with year, month, and day components. Ibig sabihin, if you give R a character variable, character data, na ang format niya year, month, day, you can convert it into a date function, YMD. Ayan, okay. Nag-run siya, no? Ito, class. Transforms dates stored in character and numeric vectors to date. Ayan, no? So you can transform. These functions recognize arbitrary non-digit separators as well as no separators. Okay, so may mga examples dito. I will not run it kasi pag nag-run ako, actually ito, class, yung examples dito, I got this, yung example natin, I got this from the examples. Now, I will not run it kasi I'm having problems. But if you try to run examples, okay, let me just try. Otherwise, magkakaproblema na naman ako palagay ko. Run examples. Ayun, okay. All right. So, okay na siya, no? Okay, so we have a vector here, character vector, YMD of X. Okay. Actually, I don't understand the example of this, no? Kasi ito vector to, no? Character vector to. Nang nag-YMD si X class, ang answer niya, ito pa rin, character pa rin siya. So it's supposed to parse kasi it's supposed to convert it into a date function. Okay, so that's why what date might not handle. All right. So anyway, we'll just leave that for a while now until such time na I'm sorry, hindi ko mag-gets yung example niya dito. Kasi ang definition niya ng YMD is transforms dates stored in character and numeric vectors. Now, if you take a look at this, I just wanted to point this out to you. Ito. All right. Ito yun eh. Ito. So library lubridate. Okay, so this is the object, no? Ito, 09, 01, 01. So this is supposed to be 2009, okay, 01, 01. All right, if I run this, so we now have an X object here. Okay, character niya, character vector to. When I YMD X, so the YMD function, kahit lagyan pa natin ng lubridate dito, no? Lubridate YMD of the vector X, and then let's take the class of X. Okay? So, from my understanding, pag inano natin to, pag pinarse natin using the YMD function, kasi yan, no? YMD function. It's supposed to convert as the literature explains. It transforms dates stored in character and numeric vectors to date or POSIX CT objects. Okay, so dapat, pag ginamit natin yung YMD, dapat, instead of character now, magiging ano na dapat siya? Magiging date object, no? Ayan, no? To a date object. But when we run this, okay, character pa rin siya, no? Again, i-run ko to, ha? Okay. Although kinonvert niya, ginawa niyang 2009. Pero, when you get the class of X, okay, kahit tingnan natin type of. Okay, run ko to. Print niya, character siya. Lubridate. Okay, it's still character. So, I still have to check class kung bakit ano pa rin siya. Character pa rin siya. When in fact, ang sabi niya dito, it transforms dates into the date object. Alright? So, anyway, class, you have the examples here. Tapos, pwede nyo naman i-run yan. Okay? So, for now, we will leave this as is. Pwede naman natin gawin muna yung yung as that date. As that date function. So if you take a look at this, ito yung example natin kanina, no? Alright. Then dito, okay, i-run natin ulit to, sa example below. So we have this object X. It's concatenating these dates. When we ask the class of X, we know that it will return character. And then I'm creating this object X.date, okay? And then M, month, day, year siya. Okay, month, day, year. And then kunin natin yung class. Bakit ginawa parenthesis to? Class ni X.date. Alright, okay. Now I recall, no? Okay, so alam ko na class, no? So dapat it's better class. Okay, so dito, mag-create tayo ng panibagong object na x1 out minus ymd ni x and then class x1 type of x1. Okay, let's try this, no? So I think I got confused here. Ito na dapat yung gagawin natin. So here it's x1. Print din natin ito. Okay, X, and then it's a concatenating these three objects. Alam natin na ito, this is of course, oops, Control Enter. It's a character vector, no? But when we create another object X1, where we transform yung object X, okay? Tamang, very sorry, no? Kasi kanina yung ymdx, di ba? We're not actually creating a new object. Si X, character pa rin siya. So ngayon ito, si X1, nag-create na ako, na kino-convert mo ngayon si X into ymd. So let's try this. Tama na to. There, okay? Alright, so ang na-miss out ko kanina, I'm sorry, ito. Hindi ako nag-create ng another object. Kaya nung tinatanong ko si class ni X, X pa rin yun, character pa rin siya. Okay, so this one, date na siya. No? So we were able to use the ymd function. All right, so that was my mistake a while ago. Okay, so clear yan, class? Okay, sorry about that. No? Kita ko yung error ko. Paki-chat naman please kung clear or malabo yung pag-explain ko and you want me to repeat the explanation. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is one of the so many times na kahit na I've been using R for decades already, I still make mistakes. So the lesson is, class, don't be afraid to commit mistakes, and unless talagang nag-create tayo ng mga packages, kahit nga sila nagkakamali. I've seen so many examples sa video ng people who are creators of packages in R. They make mistakes. Okay, so don't be afraid to make mistakes. No problem about that. All right, so ang mistake ko dito kanina, kinuha ko yung ymd ni X, pero ang kinuha ko yung class ni X pa rin. Ito si X, di ba? So I did not create another object, which is supposed to be the transformation of X. Yun ang naging mali ko doon. Okay? So dapat ito, so this it's just the same, no? All right. So let's go here. Dito sa last portion before we go to matrices, no? So ito naman, we created this object x.date, tapos ginawa niyang month, day, at saka year, no? Let's see what happens here. Balik natin tong x, yun pa rin, no? And then what happens to this code chunk? And then asan si x.date? X.date is, okay, it's a vector, okay, 201, 09, 01. Okay, yan natin x.date, i-print ko dito. Okay, so what happened? Month, day, year, MDY. Bakit niya ginanon? Kasi, class, binigay natin tong vector ng dates na to, no? Sabi niya, MDY yung format niya. So this is your M, this is your D, and this is your Y. 01. So that's 2001. Day is MDY, ano? MDY, so that's month, day. Okay, dali ha. Ang month natin, ito. This is MDY. Wait, nalito ko. MDY ni X. So, i-convert natin itong si X into month, day, year. The year is 01. Okay? Ito MDY. So, this is 01. That's 2001. Ang D, what's our D? This is our M, no? M, ito. Okay? And this is our wait na. Ang default kasi, ginawa natin tong M, wait, medyo narito ako, sorry ha. X.date 2001-0901. So ginawa natin MDY si X. This is our X, no? Ang M natin, ito. Ang day natin, ito. Ang year natin, ito. So when it was returned, ang format na ang default format is year muna yung preprint niya, tapos month, tapos day. Okay? I hope that's clear, class. Sabi natin, gawin niyang MDY, mag-create ng object na X.date, gawin niyang MDY si X. Okay? Gawin niyang month, day, year. Ito yung month, day, year. So ang month is September, ang day is 1, ang year is 2001. So when it was printed, it was year 2001, September 01. So tama, no? So tama. So it depends on the format that you want R to print. Okay, pause muna ulit ako kasi baka na-confuse na lalo kayo dun sa sa explanation ko. Okay, paki ano naman class feedback. Isa lang nag-feedback kanina. Could I have your feedback, please? I know this is don't worry class, kahit ako na tagal-tagal ko na ginagamit yung R, nako-confuse pa rin ako sa duplicate. It's just a matter of lalo na pag hindi natin masyadong ginagamit, nakaka-confuse din talaga. How about the others, please? Paki-feedback. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, lastly, ito mas madali ito. We're creating this object called birthday. Ang format niya, DMY. Okay? So, ito yung day, ito yung month, at saka ito yung year. Okay? So, if we ask the class, we know that this will be date kasi DMY. Ang gawin natin, i-print din natin sa bday. Bday, and then class. That's, naka-print na pala, sorry. No need for this kasi in parentheses na siya. No? So let's run this. Alright, so pag print ni R, okay, nagdi-default siya sa lagi i-print muna yung year, tapos yung day, month, tapos yung day. Ganun yung pag-print niya. Okay, and then tama, it's a date function. It's a date object. And then we can, to be sure, hanapin natin yung using the month function. Ano month ng birthday? Okay, 10. Okay, we can also ask the weekday. Weekday of the birthday object, label is equal to 2. So, bibigyan yung araw na yan. So, it's a Sunday. Okay, Sunday, and then, yeah, Sunday. All right. So may isang example pa dito, lastly. Okay. Pwede rin yung format na nakaganito class. So we're creating this object B1 and then YMD yung function na ginagamit natin. Ibig sabihin, gagawing year to, gagawing December 15. Alright? So, run natin yan. Yan, December 15, 2010. Okay? Alright. So, ito naman, pwedeng idadagdag niya yung yung hours, minutes, at saka seconds. Tapos yung now function will give us exactly yung date ngayon, May 23, 2023. It's 12:23:46 in the afternoon. And then plus 08 means that GMT to or UCT, Universal Conversion Time, 8 hours tayo ahead ng Greenwich Meridian Time, GMT, which is nakabase sa London. So, sa London ngayon, unless may DSC sila, 12 minus 8. So, it's 4:23:46 in the morning in London. Kasi ahead tayo ng 8 hours. So, ganun yung time convention. Okay, so let's leave that. And then may I now request you to open. Simulan lang natin yung let's just start a bit with the matrices. Okay, let's open this. And then most probably, class, I'm going to create another video on this kasi hindi natin ito matatapos. But I'd like us to at least start with matrices. Okay, kindly check if you have the file opened already. Okay, thank you. Ay, may makalimutan ako. Class, please, paki-ano nga, baka makalimutan ko. Okay, nag-create ako ng so while we're starting to discuss matrix, can you please key in your details here? Buti lang naalala ko.